more creative in the kitchen. You know, I turned lasagna into a vegan dish. I turned, because I like to eat a lot of different cultural foods. So it really opened up my creativity in the kitchen. You know, I noticed that when I don't eat meat, my energy level is higher, my skin is clear. I used to deal with acne. Cultural foods. So it really opened up my creativity in the kitchen. You know, I noticed that when I don't eat meat, my energy level is higher, my skin is clear. I used to deal with acne, and one of the triggers, it was two triggers, fried foods and cheese. Those were my triggers. So it did give me more energy. I noticed that if I do not eat as many carbs, my training, when I do train and work out, I try to work out five days out of the week. I noticed that my training level, it also increased. You know, I had more stamina. So we all can attest that food is fuel. And if you eat the wrong foods, you are not giving your body fuel. So let's talk about, so one of the questions was, has everyone tried a plant-based diet or a plant-based meal? And we have all tried it. You know, so I will skip that question, but I would like to ask Brother J.Q. I want to touch on the importance of, and I know that this video, because we started late, is probably going to end soon, but I did send a link for those that can, join us. But I wanted to talk to Brother J.Q., ask you a couple questions in regards to oral health. I know you sent a few questions. But let me ask you the first question. Why is it important to maintain good oral health? Like, if I didn't maintain good oral health, how is it going to affect my body?
Okay, there you go. Well, that's a good question. It can affect your body in quite a few ways. Obviously, if you're not maintaining good oral health and start losing teeth prematurely, that can affect your ability, your digestive system, because when you lose teeth, especially your molars, which are your posterior, your back teeth, you cannot properly chew your food. You can't properly grind the food down, so therefore your stomach can produce a proper amount of gastric acids to digest the food. If you only have your front teeth, the front teeth are not designed to grind food down, so therefore you're swallowing food that is not chewed properly because you don't have the ability to chew because you've lost teeth prematurely, and therefore the stomach has to produce gastric acids to try to make up for the lack of being able to break the food down properly in the mouth, and therefore the consistent and cumulative effect of having to produce higher gastric acids in the stomach can cause digestive issues within the stomach, ulcerations within the stomach, and problems such as that. So therefore, again, keeping your teeth longer as we are living longer, it's necessary to alleviate that issue. Also, if you're a person that is not properly cleaning your teeth, properly maintaining your oral health, this increases the likelihood that you will develop chronic inflammation in your mouth and your gum tissue. Most people think in terms of dental health and whole body, and the rest of the health of the body, whole body health is different, but the mouth and the body are all in the same organism. So therefore, what affects the health of the mouth has a reciprocal effect with the health of the body. In the case of chronic inflammation, which is called periodontal disease or gum disease, when you have chronic inflammation in your mouth, it can have effects on different organs of the body because the same blood that circulates through your mouth circulates back through your body. Case in point, evidence-based research has shown a link between uncontrolled gum health or periodontal health and diabetes. A person who has chronic inflammation in the gum tissue if this is not addressed, can trigger an inflammation in the pancreas, which will definitely affect insulin production. I've had patients who are diabetics that they constantly keep going back to the doc, having to get their diabetic medication adjusted to try to control their glucose level, but they're not doing anything with controlling the amount of plaque buildup in the mouth. The oral health is really poor. And so they're constantly having to go back and up the insulin, up the glucophage, or whatever they're taking. And the doctors only treat insulin or upping the dosage of medication to try to treat that diabetic condition. That for oral health is making it harder to control. So that's why it's important to really maintain your proper oral health. Chronic inflammation causes a breakdown of the microligaments that attach the gum to the teeth, and can cause a person to start having gum loss around the teeth. As you start losing support structure like your gum, the underlying bone, this can cause premature loss of teeth because now you don't have the stability of the teeth, and the teeth can become mobile. So again, that's important to make sure that you are maintaining because your body's going to constantly build a certain amount of bacteria, but you have to manage that by keeping the teeth clean, using proper, consistent oral hygiene, and also, finally saying too, tying that in with what you eat, because a lot of times people will eat things, and this is where maybe I differ a little bit from a lot of the traditional approaches of a lot of my colleagues who are non-plant-based. I stress to my patients the importance of supporting oral health with proper eating, because you need to eat things that have high anti-inflammatory properties and high, antioxidant properties to help you manage chronic inflammation in the mouth. And so I always stress that, make sure that you're eating your fruits as far as your berry fruits, dark green vegetables, things of that nature. And that's just where I'm trying to increase my knowledge so that I can give them a more variety of things that they can use to help to support their oral health, which then benefits their total body health as well.
Thank you. I have a quick question. I have a follow-up question. In
Yes,
about a minute, would you be able to tell us, many of us may know, but maybe some of our viewers may not know, when you say maintaining proper oral health, as a dental hygienist, what should we do? In one day, how should we maintain proper oral health?
The standard and again, it varies from person to person because people have individual needs. So I always try to make sure I individualize my treatment plans for my patients. But in general, you should be brushing your teeth at a minimum of twice a day. Flossing is necessary because your brush cannot clean in between your teeth. So you need to be able to get in between the teeth. You can either use string floss, traditional floss, or we use tie the floss around the fingers. Some people use the floss picks. Some people use the water floss, but something that will clean in between your teeth. And I always suggest to people to use some type of a rinse to control the amount of bacteria buildup in the mouth. I'm not necessarily a big proponent of alcohol-based mouthwashes, so there are alternatives to that, and I can elaborate on that more at another time. But the mouthwash or the mouth rinse of some form, even if it's just salt water does have a beneficial effect in controlling bacterial growth. Flossing and the consistent use brushing is necessary. I know my brothers and sisters over in Africa are used the chewing sticks, which are fine. They do help. But the downside to that is the fact that they can be very abrasive against the gum line and can cause gum recession and thereby causing root exposure, which makes teeth hypersensitive. And the sticks will not clean in between the teeth, so thereby you still get flossing.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we talked about, I know Brother Jehu spoke on food. Mama Nasira and Dr. Joe. I know I was speaking with Mama Nasira this morning, and she advised me of some foods that fuel our metabolism. I'll start with Mama Nasira, and then I will follow up with Letitia. Certainly, I know Brother Nigel said some foods, but for the people that have been living this lifestyle for multiple years or multiple decades, do you mind sharing some foods that will speed up your metabolism for some people that don't have a fast metabolism, like myself?
You don't have you don't have a fast metabolism?
No, like it used to before I changed my eating habits and working out. I didn't have a fast metabolism. It seemed like it took a while for my foods to digest. It may have been what I was eating, but I noticed that as I eat smaller meals, I would eat about 5 meals a day. 2 of them were protein shakes that I made myself, but that was speaking to my metabolism.
Okay.
So some people have fast metabolism than others, but it didn't seem like I had a fast metabolism. So are there specific foods that would speed up your metabolism, or is that something I'm making up in my mind?
Well, for one thing, from my experience, I do have a very fast metabolism, to the degree that if I have some stress or a change of a lifestyle, I'll start to lose weight. And then that means I have to start eating more of my legumes, my beans, and eating the seeds like your quinoa, your nuts like your almonds and cashews. As you know, and you've come to my house, I have a little bit of everything. I have a health food stores pretty much. And with that, all of that is plant-based, and it keeps the metabolism moving fast, as well as it can help you with your metabolism when I'm doing a lot of work. Like this morning when I got up, first thing I did, I put a roasted squash in a pan, roasted it with all my spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, turmeric, you name it, and coconut oil and water. And I put that in the oven right away so I have some food to eat. You cannot afford to go hungry. And fruits are good to have, but after about an hour, you need something else. You need some kind of cereal. It's good to eat wild rice instead of brown rice because it's more fats in it, more, starches. We need to stay off of those kind of things. This morning I got up too, and I made a smoothie with at least maybe 40 different things in it. And when you put all those things in the body, and I can share that with you later, and it's in my book, all of my dishes, they have a lot of things you add to it, and then the options are there. Because sometimes we have options and not other things, and you could it's just fun, when you thinking fast, your metabolism move fast too, and you keep going. And the one thing is good about a fast metabolism, you don't have to eat as much. I can get by with 2 meals. When years ago, when I was working on this lifestyle, it was like 4 or 5 meals because my body had to do a change from the way we were brought up. So that's my experience and more in the future.
Correct. Look, thank you so much. Miss Letitia?
Yes. So in regards to speeding up the metabolism, I believe that people should take advantage of adaptogens. Moringa oleifera. If you take the powder form, a small amount, you don't need much. If you're taking it just to boost that immune system, a small amount underneath the tongue, it'll assimilate into your bloodstream. That, after a few days of taking it, can help. Another thing is B12. People have this idea that you can only get it from meat, but you can get it from mushrooms, you can get it from squash, you can get it from vegetable roots. There's a array of ways you can get B12, which helps build the DNA, the nervous system, and create more red blood cells in the body. And so, food definitely has the medicinal benefits of creating or taking away that stamina. I like doing intermittent fasting. And sometimes if I'm getting my proper supplements like NAC, which is N-acetylglutathione, or any glutathione, which are body-based, it detoxes the body, like the gentleman, I think, Giroux, pardon me if I said it wrong, like he was mentioning earlier about the antioxidants, making sure you're taking the proper supplements that can work as adaptogens. And there are a lot of foods out there. The main 3 that I would like for people to look into is NAC, which is the N-acetylglutathione. Our body makes it, but as we get mature, it depletes. And so we have to take high concentrations of vitamin C. We still have to have that exposure to the sun. We still have to have vitamin K, that B12, and all those can be found in the foods. But supplements help if you're in rural areas. I know moringa is native to Africa, and so a lot of people can incorporate that. It's a superfood. So when you take moringa, you're actually eating a meal, a complete meal that has the amino acids, the vitamins, all of the supplements that you would need. Same thing with the NAC and the B12. I would strongly encourage people to do intermittent fasting. I rarely eat 2 meals a day. Usually it's one a day, and I have a ton of energy. When I tell you I get up early in the morning, meditate on my word, go to the gym, talk to my children, go to my business, and I'm dealing with customers all day. And by the end of the day, I'm not tired. And I know I can attribute it to my lifestyle.
Correct. Thank you so much. I also wanted to, I know when they say when you wake up, eat fruit, and like Mama Nasira was saying that, you eat fruit and X amount of, minutes or hours later, you're still hungry. One of the things that I've learned, because, food and nutrition goes hand in hand, right? Not food and nutrition, so sorry. Nutrition and fitness goes hand in hand, even if it's just a walk. I know my trainer advised me that if I ate fruit, to also have some type of protein. And I don't mess with cheese, so I always incorporate some nuts. Because if I have the protein and then I have the fruit, it fills me up, and then I drink water. So that's just a little, quick tip for those that, especially here, we can always get fruit and nuts on the side of the road. Someone will always walk up to you, even if you're at a restaurant. Would you like some fruit? Would you like some nuts? So I always have that. I always purchase some and keep it in my bag. Apples, oranges, bananas, and some nuts. And I never leave home without my water. So thank you so much. So can we all agree that food and nutrition and fitness goes hand in hand? Yeah. Does anyone have a story that they would like to share as far as weight loss, or how you changed your nutrition, you changed your lifestyle, you changed your lifestyle, you started eating right, you started exercising? Does anyone have a story that they would like to share?
I have a quick story I would like to share. After I had my daughter, who is now 18, I was 250 pounds, and at this time I was like teeter-tottering on, trying to eat right, eating whatever I wanted, and trying to incorporate walking. And like I mentioned before, I suffered from anemia, so I had problems with my menstrual cycle and things of that nature, just not being regular. So once I changed my diet, I noticed that after 3 months, I no longer had any cramping. My weight dropped from 250 pounds in about 3 months to under 200 pounds. And the only thing that I changed was my diet. And even though I don't like sweets, even though I make the best cheesecake in the world, vegan cheesecake in the world, I know that the only thing that I changed was I cut out all dairy. Because once I did research on dairy and realized that the RBGH, which is the acronym for the recombinant bovine growth hormone, it creates inflammation in the system. This is why we see young ladies who are developed at 8, 9 years old, looking like they're 15 or 20. And so I know that for me, once I changed my diet, my weight dropped tremendously, and my menstrual cramps, they completely went away. And I was like, oh my God. About 4 months later, I used to make chicken enchiladas. I took some tortillas and I thought, it won't hurt. I'll just dip the tortillas in the bread and cheese sauce. Even though I knew that cheese was, definitely something that could inflame my system and make me bloat and bring the cramping back, I dipped it in the cheese. I ate it literally 6 or 7 hours later. I was on the ground, like in pain, excruciating pain. And I know that it had to do with the relationship between dairy. So for me, once I cut out dairy, milk, byproducts of an animal, my weight dropped, and I no longer had horrible cramping. I no longer had the migraines. And so your food, it is, and should be your medicine. It should be. And real quick, I don't want to hog everybody else's testimony. Real quick, the standard American diet, I call it the SAD diet, because it was created by the beef industry. And so that's why a lot of times you see, meat and cheese and all that at the top. Well, it's because lobbyists, they're the ones paying for this pyramid chart to show this. And then you see the fruits and vegetables at the bottom. But that's my testimony. And I always tell people, try it. Try it and see what happens. That way you can have your own testimony. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you so much.
I like to say that thing.
Besides Letitia, I know Fatima has an amazing story, but something must have happened because she wasn't able to join us. But besides Letitia, myself, I was 244 pounds. 2006, I started working out. I was very strict with myself because some people were like, oh, just take a little bit out. I'm just either here or there. It's either yes or no for me. So I stopped. I wouldn't eat past 7:30. I cut out all fried foods. At that time, I was still eating meat, but I wouldn't fry anything. Bake, broil, grill, saute, but I wouldn't fry anything. I stopped drinking juice. I only drank water, and then I started working out. I started out with a 15-minute workout, and then it worked. I worked my way up to walking around. I lived in New Jersey at that time, so my apartment complex set in the middle of a building. I'm in the middle of the block, so I walked around. I started off at 7. I got up to 10, and I would walk this in 30 minutes. I think I was like jogging because my legs are long, so I was speed walking. But I noticed that once I cut out meat, a little bit, almost 5 years ago, my body just shrunk. It literally shrunk. Once I cut out meat, and when I say meat, I didn't eat beef. I only ate chicken and turkey. But once I cut out meat and dairy, oh my goodness. And I noticed my skin, I noticed so many things because I can train. I lost weight when I first got here, and then everyone eats bread and rice here, and out of necessity, I would eat bread and rice, and I feel like I gained 50 pounds, but I think it's just been 10. But I noticed the difference in my body, so food and nutrition goes hand in hand. I don't know if these are the exact statistics, but they say 80% of fitness, 80% of not working out, but 80% of overall health is nutrition. Because we know we can't outwork a bad diet. You go to the gym in 3 hours. If you come home and eat cheeseburger, french fries, and all this unhealthy stuff, and chocolate and drink sodas, you have just wasted everything. You've taken in more calories than you worked off. So, Fatima, I'll let her tell her story, but I can say when I met her in October, she was walking on her own. When she got here before me, she was walking with a walker. So she has totally changed her life around as well. So we all know, if we saw What the Health, we know that food is everything. And like Letitia said, it is our medicine. We don't need, okay, I'm not going to get into that, but if we utilize food as our medicine, I haven't been sick since I've been here. I do want to ask one more question with Brother Jehu, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I know we don't have too much time. At the end, I'm going to let everyone promote supplements or whatever their business is. But Brother Jehu, well, you know what? Instead of me asking you a question, is there something that you wanted to cover based on your career? I'll let you do that.
It's based on my career. I've been doing it for a little bit. I think the thing that I would say is that I'm continuing to learn. Just really amazing at how much I don't know. So I'm learning that I really have benefited from listening to Dr. Joe and Mama Nasira, as well as Sister, what's your name again, Sister? I'm sorry.
Letitia.
Sister Letitia and Brother Nigel. I'm just getting a wealth of information, and I'm sitting here learning some things, basically relearning, but it's just how much I continue to grow, and I'm able to provide better care for my patients. Also, Sister Letitia, to let you know, I'm actually growing some moringa trees in my backyard. I'm growing them on the deck right now, and so I'm about to put them out here in my backyard, and they're about time to transfer from pots to put them in the ground, so I'm growing my own stuff. So I'm on the moringa, believe me, been on that for that. But yeah, you're right, that stuff's really good. But like I said, just towards my career, just being able to help people, and it puts you in touch with, especially within our group of people, how much our folks don't know, and how much they really are in need of knowledge, and being able to provide that knowledge, and also to be able to see the change when people apply the knowledge. Because you can tell people, but if they don't apply it, it's not going to help them. But seeing something actually take hold to it and apply it, and they see the benefits, and when you see them back in 3 months or 6 months, and you're seeing how they're improving, and they're telling you about the improvements, it's truly rewarding. One thing I did want to add really quickly, kind of touching back on, one of the things I have patients also ask me about switching over to non-fluoridated toothpaste or non-fluoridated toothpaste. I do believe, personally myself, I think there's a benefit to that.
Thank you for sharing that.
I had a sister who was from, I think, Cameroon. And back home in Cameroon, never really had any issues with cavities. One of the things I do see a lot of times with the African brothers and sisters is sometimes the teeth will wear down a little bit prematurely, because sometimes the textures of the foods may be a little bit more coarse, and that can cause a little bit of attrition of the tooth. I think it serves benefit, but I would never tell my patients to just go ahead and use a water pick only and say, hey, that's just as good as flossing, because if an individual has really tight teeth or teeth that overlap or really crowded or what have you, that water's not necessarily going to penetrate between those teeth, and it's not going to necessarily clean as well as it might with other teeth. So I think it's something that can be used as an adjunct, but I wouldn't tell them to just solely go with just using a water pick only. Plus the fact too, with the water pick, you got to figure it's only it will clean around the gum line. That's great, but in between teeth, a lot of times that is where you have a lot of the initiating of the plaque buildup, because that's where the bacteria colonizes at its first, as well as just beneath the gum line, and that's where you're going to promote bacterial growth. So I think again, it should be used as an adjunct, but I would not tell somebody just solely just use a water pick and you won't have any problems, because I've seen the results of that. People have switched over 6 months to a year using just a water pick only, and I've seen mixed results with it. So that's why I'm just really kind of careful about telling people. There are some people who have what we call periodontal pockets, or areas where they have gum and bone loss. Some people that have bridge work where they have a loss of gum attachment, that they have pocketing, where things kind of get stuck down in between teeth or underneath crowns. I think for them, people who have braces, water picks really are advantageous with them. But for just everybody, I would just kind of like on a case-by-case basis is what I'm saying.
All right, thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
But one thing, if you're going to use your water pick, what I would suggest doing, maybe about 3 times out of a week, some type of a mouthwash. If you want to do salt water, if you're accustomed to using mouthwashes, you can do that. I would say maybe fill the reservoir of your water pick, maybe like with a third of mouthwash or salt water, add a little salt water to it, and use that to kind of clean out around the teeth or around the gum line, and then just of course empty it out and run straight water through it to clean it out, to purge it. But that's all. If you're going to use a water pick, that's probably the best way to use that.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I wanted to confirm, so, because I have a water pick, so you're saying, use the water pick in addition to your regular.
Right. I think, like I said, again, it's on a case-by-case basis with patients. I think when I evaluate them, I'll tell them, looking at if they're a person that has a lot of spaces between the teeth, or if a person that's had a history of loss of gum, tissue or bone around teeth, and therefore they have pocketing between teeth where they, like I say again, have a tendency to catch food very easily, or issues of where the gums tend to get irritated very easily because of pocketing or loss of gum attachment. For people like that, I think those areas, water picks really work well for them. But again, people who have really tight teeth, crowded teeth, the water pick is the water's not going to penetrate in between those teeth like that. And it's going to hit the front of the teeth. It's not going to necessarily go in between the teeth. And the person is going to think, okay, well, I'm cleaning in between those teeth. Or you're not. And eventually you will start getting decay in between those teeth. You will start having gum issues in between those teeth. So that's why I say I think it's something that should be used as an adjunct, but to just wholly switch over to say everybody should just use a water pick only. I think you have to kind of look at the needs of the individual needs of the patient. I even tell some of my patients, instead of using water picks, to use something called a proxy brush, or they call it interdental cleaner, which basically are little small micro brushes. They're little small tiny brushes. Looks like a pipe cleaner kind of brush.
Yes.
Those work very well also. Those can be used also. So again, I always encourage patients to try a few different things, and sometimes you may have to do some things in combination because everybody's dental needs is very different. You just can't do like a blanket therapy for everybody.
Correct. Thank you so much.
I
I
wanted to
apologize. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to really finish what I was saying about the sister from Cameroon that I saw. When she was back in Africa, she really didn't have any issues like that with cavities per se, but when she came here to the U.S. and started eating a lot of the foods and things that we have here, she started having a bunch of cavities. I mean, it was like when she showed up, she had a bunch of issues and stuff, but she was confused. She said, I never really had problems with this. She wasn't aware that switching over to eating foods and being over here, different environment, different bacteria and so forth, would adversely affect her oral health. So I was, again, that's something that people don't know. When you change environments, you change foods, what you're eating, what you're putting in your body. If you're not aware, it can also adversely, negatively impact your oral health. And I say that to like our brothers and sisters over there that are coming over to places like Britain or France or even come to the U.S. that are starting to eat things and drink things that they normally don't. They have to know that. Or like I said, they can suffer the, detrimental effects of poor oral health from that.